I had just realized that my recording had cut off at the end. I sincerely apologize for that. Um, I don't know how much of it was cut off, but luckily I'm able to start another recording before this scenario is complete. This is going to end up being a three-part video, but this third part, the finale, is going to be literally just the end of this level. There wasn't much that I said after the recording had cut off. What it basically boils down to is that while designing a game based around management is difficult, it's not impossible. And there are definitely so many aspects um, that make this game entertaining, despite it being about a quote unquote real scenario um, that requires the player to sit down and think to themselves, how can I manage to approach this scenario in a way that I know how, using the system provided to me in the game. Which I think is not only just a testament to Roller Coaster Tycoon, but to Tycoon games in general. It allows the player to experiment, but at the same time, excuse me, providing them a sense of accomplishment when it actually does manage to work out in their favor. Looks like another rainstorm is starting. Our loan is paid back completely. And it is almost the middle of October, the last month of completing this level. Our park rating still remains steady at 999. I assume you can max it out at 1,000, but I'm not 100%. But obviously, like, don't necessarily need to do that. I think in one of the scenarios, I believe your park rating has to be 800, which is relatively high. And in some scenarios, I know one of the stipulations is if your park rating drops, you have, I think, like a 3 or 4 month time limit to get the rating back up. And if you don't manage to do that, the level is over. So there's definitely a sense of challenge when it comes to figuring out how best to approach the more difficult scenarios. But as I've stated, they're not necessarily impossible. If the player takes the time to sit down and learn aspects of the game, they are still able to approach it in their own way. And although it might take longer to grasp the system of the game than it does with some of the easier scenarios, it doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't possible in order for the player to complete what's asked of them. I don't know why this entertainer is way out here, not here to guess, but then again, anything and everything can happen in this game, as we have seen multiple times in the second part of the series. Which again, I apologize as to why the recording has decided to cut off, but nonetheless, I'm glad I was able to notice that in order to be able to gain, or be able to see, I should say, the scenario being completed. Excuse me. 1,500 was actually a surprisingly higher number than I had anticipated. I know that's, it sounds pretty self-explanatory, but I forget what the first mission is, but it's not 1,500, that's for sure. It's and I think the beginning levels start easy and slowly progress over time, which makes sense because you're starting to get it. The player should essentially get a better sense as to what works and what doesn't when completing scenarios, and therefore should be able to get over here approach the more difficult levels in a way that works best for them. Oh no, our guests are going down. That's not good. But, it's not like we only have 3 days left in the month to get those numbers back up. And we're making a lot of money too, which is actually pretty surprising. Wait, what is happening? Why can this mechanic like just not find the exit to the King's Court? That makes no sense. There are going to be some unhappy guests over here. There we go. Jeez. Crisis averted, I suppose. There we go. We managed to fix it. Happy Halloween. And you know what that means. 31st of October, the last of the month. The scenario is complete, and look at that. The guests stop and applaud you. They actually turn and face the player and applaud them. And on top of that, if you guys can see, they release their balloons into the air. That is so satisfying. Enter name into the scenario chart. You have achieved your objective with a company value of $280,356. And now I get to pop all these balloons for fun. Was that not satisfying? That is one of the things that I absolutely love about this game. When you manage to complete your objectives, the game lets you know. The fact that the guests stopped, turned, looked at the camera, and acknowledged that you were able to do so. Wait, no, wait, come on, wait, this balloon is being stubborn. But yeah, when I first saw that in the game, I was floored. I thought this was such a great way to let the player know that what they've done is worthwhile, and that they've managed to, the fact that they managed to sit down, learn the system of the game, and have done everything that they can to complete the objective. For the guests to, face the camera and reward the player with that round of applause is definitely provides a sense of satisfaction. And there's a leaderboard that you can see on the menu that I'll show you guys soon enough. As the marketing campaign finishes up, I think that's definitely a good place to exit this scenario. But we're going to go ahead and save our game, and we can return to Crazy Castle at any time, just to play to our heart's content. Even though we've met our objectives, the research is still going to be done, and you can be able to play and make changes to the park as much as you want. There's no penalty anymore because you've accomplished what you needed to, and now you can just play around and do whatever you want with the scenario now that it's complete, which I think is actually really cool. So, if we head back to the main menu, I should have taken a screenshot. I'm going to take one right here. We'll do another one a little bit closer. Oh yeah, there we go. Let's head back to the main menu. And as you can see the leaderboard here, levels that I have previously completed. Right down here, Crazy Castle completed by Mike. And it says the name you enter and the company value. There's just something so satisfying with seeing that check mark. Obviously, if you're going for 100%, seeing all of that is very worth it. I don't know if there's necessarily a reward you get for completing every single scenario, but there's definitely some satisfaction when it comes to taking the time to learn the system of the game. So, I guess before I leave this video, I'll show you guys a few extra aspects of the game that are thrown in. For instance, let's go with the Roller Coaster Designer. And as you can see, every single coaster type is available to you with the exception of some special ones that are available through the expansion pack. I'm just going to click one at random here. How about, I don't know, lay down roller coaster. And so you can click this, and this is just an example, but you can go in, excuse me, and design a custom track however you want it. And then once the test results is in, this button shows up as a floppy disk. You'll be able to click it and save as a track design that you can use in later scenarios, which is exactly what I did. If you guys recall from the start when I had added the custom, actually, let me see if I can find it. If I go to the Mine Ride Coaster down here, and I find the engineer. This was a custom design that I had used, that I built actually during my completion of the electric fields scenario. And I placed this, excuse me, track design in the Crazy Castle scenario that you guys saw just now. So I think this is a very cool way to ease new players into creating coaster design without feeling the pressure to do so in the middle of a scenario. And then, you know, you're able to use these at any time. You can also save, if you have like adjacent scenery around it, for instance, you can save that as well and use that in later scenarios, which I think is very, very fun, very, very useful, and you have so much space to work with. So that's the coaster designer. The track design manager is the same thing. Like I said, you have access to a whole bunch of scenery, and I don't think you're limited to coasters, but I could be wrong. Yeah, for instance, if you wanted to build the railroad, excuse me, I apologize. You can rename and you can delete saved designs, whether it be by you or ones that were already included in the game. So that's just another way to manage aspects of the game that are available to you. The last thing that I'm going to show you guys is the tutorial. I'm just going to do the beginner's one just to show you what it looks like. So the mouse is moving for me. I'm not controlling this, and as you can see, there's a little bit of a text box that explains the narration of what's going on. So this right now is showing you how to move the camera. And eventually, I'm not going to play the part, but you know, this is me moving the mouse right now. It's going to show you how to design a ride and how to do various things, and then you can click anytime during the tutorial, and you're basically playing in the tutorial screen right now, which I think is very, very useful. Let's go ahead and do a see if the custom rides tutorial is pretty much the same thing. I'm just showing off more aspects of the game now that the main objective of completing the scenario was complete. So yeah, and as you can see, it's nice and slow with plenty of text on the boxes for new players to look at and gain a sense of how they are able to do so. And like I said at the bottom, you know, if you press the key or the mouse at any time, it allows you to take control of this tutorial and basically leave off where the designers had begun, in a sense, which I think is really, really cool and useful. Okay, you get the idea. So yeah, like I said, just another way to ease players into the game and introduce them to that procedurality that they will hopefully find useful in being able to complete, you know, further scenarios of the game. But that, ladies and gentlemen, will about wrap things up here. Like I said, I am so fortunate for those of you that have stuck around and have listened to me rant and, you know, talk about how much this game means to me, because it still does to this very day. I very much enjoy every aspect of this game. You know, the customization, the level completion, the satisfaction that you get from doing certain aspects, taking the time to learn this game. It's still, to this day in 2021, absolutely enjoyable, and I hope you all you know, if nothing else, enjoyed me talking about it and watching some gameplay. Maybe you feel nostalgic, maybe not. But nonetheless, I appreciate you all, um, you know, being here and watching more of this final project unfold. So that's going to do it here. Like I said, thank you all so much. Until next time, my name is Michael Caruso, and God bless you.